one sector which is in focus is definitely defense. Several counters have seen multiple acquisitions. My colleague Anushi, who tracks the space closely, is joining in with the same. So what is the buzz for defense stocks right now, Anushi? Why are they in action on most days?
Hey Tamanna, so yesterday we spoke a lot about the capital acquisition proposals which took place of the size of 21,772 crore that continues to be in focus. This was the Defence Acquisition Council approving the 5 proposals both over the number that I've just mentioned. Now this includes procurement of 31 new water jet fast attack crafts for Indian Navy, which is Garden Reach Shipbuilders, Cochin Shipyard, Masgao Dock. All the stocks were gaining in trade yesterday. Even if we look at the procurement of electronic warfare, next generation radar warning receivers also is another area to be focused on, where some of the key players include Bharat Electronics, Data Patterns and Astra Microwave. Other than that, procurement of 6 advanced light copters for surveillance to strengthen the coastal security and surveillance, wherein this brings focus to a stock like HAL, Hindustanic Aeronautics. But even if you look at the previous update of what has happened, the Defence Minister also greenlit 10 capital acquisition proposals worth rupees 1.545 lakh crore. So this gets the total sum to about 1.65 lakh crore that we are looking at. And this was for the procurement of future-ready combat vehicles, air defense, fire control radars, and for the Indian Coast Guard capabilities that we see. Just to give a brief sense on how the defense spending over the years have been from the government side, allocation for this year 6.21 lakh crore, 18% of growth compared to last year. FY24 about 5.94 lakh crore, which is 13% of a growth. So this is what we are looking at, higher focus on the acceptance of necessities for the second half that we are looking at, because if we see in the first half there was a slowdown in defense ordering as we speak. So defense sector back in focus after some correction which had happened earlier in the last 1 to 2 months that we'd seen.
Right, thank you for that. That's, of course, perspective into what is happening in the defense pack. Remember, defense stocks have been called the Modi trade for really long. And even recently, with the sweeping victory in Maharashtra state, defense became a great trading cue for a lot of investors and traders on the street. Today might be a morning when some of those counters are quiet, but remember, with significant order wins in the last few weeks and the fact that these counters have been wealth creators, even though most big institutions don't actually have exposure to the stocks, it's been transient and made money for traders. Amit, and I'll start with that. Amit Anwani, research analyst of PL Capital, joins in. Amit, I want to start with just that, right? Defense as a space, while has been a wealth or a money bagger in the last many years, it's not been part of many institutions or mutual fund portfolios. A lot of people have viewed this sector very transient in nature. Right? So they've come in, bought the counter, made some money and checked out. Do you feel like that's about to change now or should change?
Right, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. So I think first perspective, you see there's a lot of IPOs which came 6-7 years back in defense, including HAL, and we saw GRSC IPOs coming in. So all this, I think broadly, there has been a major change which has happened in the government stance in past 10 years to really open up the defense sector, localize in a big way in all the components which goes into defense, and try to reduce the import so that the sector becomes self-reliant, which is a lot of for a lot of components still dependent on the global supply chain. So you see major transition, I would say, or disruption has happened in defense in past 7-8 years. Now coming to the ownership, if you see gradually before all these IPOs came, Bharat Electronics used to be the mainstream defense stock, and where the government ownership is, I think, about 51-52%, and largely broadly owned by the institution for the longer term perspective. I think the issue with few of the companies might be the larger government ownership at 75-80%, with which might come down with OFSs, but it will be a long run. But having said that, specific to sector, if you see for many years, past 2 decades, there was a lot of focus on engine developments, and then LCA came, which all these programs were running for 20 years. But we saw major breakthroughs happening in past 5 years, and a lot of orders came in for production. in past 2 3 years, and this very robust and strong order book uh, finally coming for many defense companies to actually utilize their facilities for the faster pace of execution. So strategically, I would say the government policies has been very critical and focused to really open up the sector, and that has actually changed many things for the sector. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get specific because and just give our viewers perspective about why this is important. So the Defence Acquisition Council has approved these 5 proposals worth over 21,000 crores, nearly 22,000 crores. So every year the defence budget earmarks how much the government of India is going to spend on the sector. This step of the DAC, that's the Defence Acquisition Council, actually approving it is the key important step. I mean, liken it to the tiny budget being granted. So these are the funds that you can buy. These are the proposals that we will do. Let's come to that specifically. And Amit, I want to get your view on what companies will benefit. Is it going to be HAL, which benefits the most? Do you see a BEL? Because they're looking at electronic warfare suite, next generation radar warning receiver, and the focus more and more has been on Make in India. So in your view, which are the biggest beneficiaries of these proposals being cleared?
Right. So I think the proposals which were cleared yesterday, there's no broad-based breakup. But what I can understand, there is a 6 ALH advanced light helicopter deal which is cleared. So definitely where HL fits in. So there are a lot of helicopter orders in the fray, where HL is going to be the prime beneficiary in coming quarters as well as and when these orders are cleared. I think apart from that, there's as you said, rightly highlighted, EWS Bharat Electronics is the key beneficiary, and to some extent, Data Pattern has some electronics which goes into EWS. But Bharat Electronics primarily is focusing on radars, EWS, and a few of the defense electronics orders which are yet to come, and the current one which they received. So definitely Bharat Electronics will be the beneficiary from here. BML specifically, I read that there's an overall opportunity for T70 to T90, which we have been talking about since long time. And BML is looking for the major opportunity in the mobility vehicle space in defense. So definitely pretty strong. This kind of orders would be pretty strong for BML. And we saw in budget also the government increasing the allocation within the defense budget to the mobility vehicle significantly in the last budget. So definitely the mobility vehicle again coming back in focus, and we have seen all this aging fleet, more than 30, 40 years of aging fleet and defense mobility vehicles requires a lot of overall, and I think this is the first step, and there could be subsequent orders coming in here. So broadly speaking, I think for us with this order, Bharat Electronics, HL, and BML in parts would be beneficiary in our coverage. Yeah.
Amit, sorry, just to break this down, and I know a couple of stocks that you mentioned already in the focus, and BL has been a buy call, I think, across the board. I want to add a few more to that list. So, and I want you to divide this between private and government sort of run companies. How do some of the smaller private players look to you? So a Zen Tech, for case in point, a Data Patterns, a Paras Defense. Is there an opportunity for investors to make money here? And maybe not for today. I'm talking about this from a 2 to 3 year time horizon.
Right. So I think if you see the way defense electronics sector is shaped, the government is very critically focusing on localizing a lot of defense electronics, including optics, where the Paras operates. So we have just Bharat Electronics under our coverage. But talking in general about the sector, if you see, DRDO has been very critical of collaborating and giving chance to all the private sector to also come forward and research on a lot of defense electronics. There's been focus on upgrading defense electronics, which is typically 5 to 15% of any defense deal, I would say, broadly speaking. A focus in terms of capability upgrade, which is coming in with a lot of OEMs. So, for example, LCA moving from Mach 1 to Mach 2 to Mach 3 in future, and increasing the maneuverability of the aircraft's OEMs making them much faster from Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach 5. This requires highly advanced defense electronics where we are focusing to really uh, improve locally. And there's a lot of private collaboration which has happened DRDO on the research side also. DRDO giving opportunities to private players. There's a lot of startup programs from the DRDO side. So definitely the defense electronic ecosystem for private players is also highly conductive, I would say, conducive, I would say, for next 3 to 5 years. And we have seen profits for many companies you highlighted going up 2x, 3x in past 3 years because of the opportunity which that they have got and they're sensing. So definitely for me, within defense, where the OEMs is one part and defense electronic is the other section, definitely defense electronics will be more consistent and accelerating in next 3 to 5 years for sure for me.
Thank you so much, Amit. That was Amit Anwani on the opportunities in the defense space, and definitely that looks exciting. One big tranche has been cleared by the Defense Acquisition Council, and which is why that focus has grown.